Welcome to the Big Book Podcast, Episode 7. Hey, I'm your host, Automaton2000, and if I sound a little different this week, it's because my flying saucer crash-landed into a pond, and ever since I wandered into this quaint little Venusian diner, I've had a third uvula in my throat. Joining me today, we have Janos Edanian. Welcome, Janos. How goes it?
It's going real good. I'm tired. The Super Bowl didn't go as planned, and I didn't watch the halftime show. So
that's because you rooted for the wrong team, my friend. Frank. I know that Frank had something riding on the game. How are you feeling today?
Well, you know, Otto, I'm glad you're here. Folks that don't know, Otto actually lost his voice completely. We didn't think he'd join us, screaming for Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl. His favorite team is the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was just so excited to see the outstanding performance that they had. But I'm glad you're here.
What was the over/under on Taylor Swift cutaways? I think it started at 4.5, and I think everybody lost. So sorry about that.
I try and stay over Taylor Swift at all times.
My frequent co-host Danjavan is here. Danjavan, how are you today?
Hey Otto, thanks for having us. You look great today, by the way. Very handsome, very distinguished.
Yeah, I've been trying to grow out the full beard.
I'm here to plug my chronometrics and my great cab fleet. So shout out to Cab, who I can definitely pronounce all the way through.
Yeah, it's unpronounceable. I don't think even the Welsh members know for sure. So. And finally, last but not least, we have a very special guest here, one of our frequent contributors and also first-time #1 finisher for a faction event, Nifty Mittens. Nifty, congratulations.
Thank you. Probably my greatest accomplishment today. I had a pretty good day yesterday, so the other accomplishments happened yesterday, but today, best accomplishment.
Happy to be to let you have a place to talk about your crowning achievement. We'll get to that in a second, but first let's crack open the Big Book Podcast mailbag. I want to just say a quick thank you for our listeners who have stuck with us through the episode 6, the Lowest Spending Podcast, available on YouTube and also podcast outlets everywhere. We were joined by King Louie, who did a fantastic job talking about the VIP Zero experience. Since then, we've had a few notes on that as well as on our clip show. I want to just give a shout out quickly to people that spoke up. We have Abernathy J, 99 Levels to Live, Radio Silence, and Enzo Karate. Thanks, listeners. Feel free to drop a comment if you have anything to give us feedback on the video. Danjavan, do you have the email address for the Big Book Podcast ready to drop here?
No, I'm ill prepared because I'm still working on my chronometrics sheet. But you know, Frank, you do have a lot of YouTube alts. I didn't know you had that many, but thanks for dropping those comments.
Some of them are mine.
If you do need to send an email, and it's not to a Big Book podcast address, but you do want to send it to a Frank alternate, you can send it to actuallynotfrank@gmail.com.
And just remember, for Big Book Plus subscribers, everybody gets our own physical mailing addresses, so you can look forward to that perk.
I'm extremely confused as to who is who right now, by the way, so I might slip up here and there, but...
So back to Nifty, I want to talk about your faction wins. So we had actually a question earlier today in the Timelines Talks Discord from Admiral Stark. He says, how did you guys get so high in the rankings? I see these scores and wonder if I'd ever get that close. Nifty, did you ever have that feeling before your first win?
So I have been saving for a long time to do this. However, that has not stopped me from, pushing for a top 1500 or a top 750, or I think at least once in this saving era for a top 100, where I just kind of get impatient, because unless you're prepared to just spend, which I was not, you do have to choose your moment. If one of the mega whales that notably will buy out a faction sometimes is pushing for it, now's not the week. Or sometimes we've had some really heated battles where maybe it wasn't going to start out as a mega whale buy fest, but then there's 3 people just pushing. So I've abandoned a couple attempts halfway through day 1, where it was like, nope, time to tap out. This is not my week. I don't want to have to, drain it all and feel like, was it a waste? Did I, finished 5th, which is still great, but then used all my resources up, I would be bummed out. I kind of wanted to win or nothing. And so I didn't even go into this week with that thought. But thanks to my squad mate, Frank over here, who got off to a quick start himself with my squad share, I had a decent amount on day 1, and I thought, you know what? Screw this. Like, let's at least like go for it for a day. And if nobody is going crazy, then maybe this is mine. So I did, and I started kind of strategizing from there, because again, I didn't start out doing it, but I started sending out quick waves of 30-minute shuttles, and I had over 400 of those 5-star boosts to start with. I'd been saving a while, like I said. Then I started sending waves of 20 additional rental token shuttles with the 2x doublers. I started with over 200 of those 2x doublers, or almost 200, excuse me. So that got my score up really quick. I did do some dill spending. I wanted to let at the start there was a member of, I believe, the IPA fleet who was making a statement of their own. And I wanted to let them know that I was serious. But since I'd had a slower start, I did do a few waves of the 50 dilithium instant complete on those 5-star boosted shuttles, just to make up some extra ground here and there to show, hey, like, this guy's coming for you. You know, either go for it, open up a lead on me, and maybe I'll back off, or, you know, realize that maybe you're in for a battle you don't want, and I can scare you away. So
can we say that the nifty method is establish dominance early, and also plan for 8 years saving up your boosts? Is that about right?
A little bit, yeah.
And Frank, and have a great
BYOF.
team in Frank. BYOF, what's that? Bring your own Frank.
Bring your own Frank.
No, honestly, having a good squad is really helpful. Between Frank and also friend of the pod, Plain Simple Garrick, they were very, very helpful squad members, and just even like the fleet in general. We had a couple people pop in and out if they weren't ready for the events, because again, I didn't plan this. I didn't assemble the power squad beforehand. So we rearranged some stuff mid-event and got some people boosting me, which was great. And as a result, we finished, I don't know, top 15 for a fleet, which for us lately, that's pretty solid. We don't have such esteemed skirmish winners like Ton Baton 2000 in our fleet anymore. So yeah, it was good. And then it was nice, building a lead. I wanted to be aggressive. I was prepared to spend it all. I didn't want to ease off too much and make somebody think, he ran out of resources. They wouldn't know I didn't, and I would then still feel like I needed to spend more. So I only really eased up a bit later on Saturday, kind of kept a cushion. Some people started getting within 1 million. I didn't like that, so I pushed a little more, and just maintained that, and had to make sure that this morning I woke up in time, my time zone. The event ends at 9. I'm not always up by 9 on a weekday. So I had to make sure I was up to collect those final shuttles and cement the win.
Wonderful. So yeah, the ranks of the first place finishers for the Big Book podcast is growing by the day. We still have a few more members that need to finish out here. I won't call them out by name. You know who you are. But if you ever want to finish first, I think we could all learn a lot from Nifty's efforts here. So thank you for sharing the very detailed method that you took. That's going to really help a lot of our listeners if they're ever planning their own.
I will add, because this was one thing that people were talking about and asking, I spent approximately 6,000 dilithium. So when I mentioned those shuttles that I instant completed, it came to, I didn't get exact numbers because I didn't think to check, but based on a screenshot from the day the event started, I can tell you approximately 6,000 dilithium.
Yeah, I'd call that a budget win. That's great.
Hi, Danjavin here. One of my good friends, Automaton 2000, has won several events, and he told me some of his secrets, so let me just relay them to you. For Galaxy and Skirmish, you can absolutely win without spending a single dilithium crystal, and that happens fairly regularly. And I think there's probably enough meat on the bone that we may do a standalone podcast for event advice and planning in the future. Yeah, essentially it comes down to a lot of planning and prep ahead of time. sometimes you have to go for an event where you don't really like the reward because a lot of other people won't and the competition will be lower, or maybe you want to event on a holiday when there is less competition. So it's not always a beautiful, easy win to first place, but if you haven't had one before, it's certainly a nice feeling.
And quickly, I'll say, and it was my pleasure to support Nifty in this unplanned happy accident, as we call it. And Admiral Stark and anyone else out there that kind of wonders about the ins and outs of winning events, specifically factions, I'll just say this. I won my single faction event back in 2017, and my winning score was 1 million and almost even. And everybody backed off after the first day when they saw me jumping up the leaderboard, because they said, oh God, here's Frank, so Frank's going to buy an event. Oh well. And I just stopped. Shuttle boosts didn't exist then like they did today, so you didn't have years of a stockpile. So that million VP that I won with actually cost me about 11,000 dilithium, basically double what Nifty spent. And Nifty had an amazingly, incredibly larger score, almost 4 times the score that I had when I won my event, which just shows that planning and utilizing your resources and good luck with, the competition falls the right way, having a good squad to support you, even a low spender or a VIP 0 spender, I think seriously could make a strong push. Don't get your hopes down. Don't feel discouraged, because there hasn't been, there's been less than 200 unique event winners through the history of the game. And factions can be very competitive. As we'll talk about in a little bit with the roadmap, there could be changes coming to events where they won't be as grindy. So you might have a chance in other event types. Just keep playing and conserve your resources and plan appropriately.
I hate to murder a great segue, but I will say, number one piece of advice, if you aren't 100% sure you can do it, do not go for it. Also, same goes for Dabo, because I've seen a lot of people think, oh, I probably have enough, and then they feel like they, quote, wasted all these resources for a top 20, top 10, whatever finish. So it's usually more competitive than you think, and you don't want to be disappointed at the end of it.
Always bet on a sure thing. It's good points. So I think that I will take that segue, though. I think that's a great chance to talk about the roadmap. So Ben and TPG Joe appeared on stream. They've been doing a good job of keeping their informational streams up on about a monthly basis. The prior month they had John Delancey on, which was fun to watch. He had a lot of really interesting detail about stuff that happened 8 years ago that I have no idea, unless he was keeping a diary, how he really remembered. But while that was fun, we actually got a little bit more meat on this recent stream that they had done, where they presented the TPG Star Trek Timelines roadmap. So talking a little bit about the potential for either a new event or some rebalancing to existing events. Genos, were you able to watch the stream, and what thoughts do you have on their discussion about event talk or anything else that you picked off of the stream?
Yeah, I did get a chance to watch the majority of it, and I'm really enthused about possibility for different event permutations, because right now there's only 3 active event types. Expeditions are sadly dead. However you feel about them, sadly or not.
Your
sadly,
sadness may vary.
Yes. Thank you, Nifty. So there's only so many permutations of the existing 3 events, so it gets stale. Whether you get 3 faction events or faction phases in a row, you get a bunch of skirmishes. We're not getting a bunch of skirmishes, so it's probably faction or galaxy. So if they can make it less grindy, as alluded to, I think that would be fantastic, especially just given that you want a little bit more time away from your phone or from your device. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I think one of the things they even said, way down the road, is a possible new event type, which would bring us from 3 to 4 type of events. Wow. Maybe a gauntlet or a voyage event.
Yeah, I think it'd be great if we could get a rotation that we don't have to repeat during the month, or at the very least, that's going to allow for a lot more hybrid options as well. So it'll be interesting to see how those play off of each other. Frank, what did you take away from the TPG stream?
Well, as the memes and the jokes go, the game is not dead while Ben is alive, and they really are working on future planning, and I'm impressed with the depth that they're going between a new event type, quality of life improvements, modifying existing events to better help the player base. You know, lots of things that you would not expect out of an 8-plus-year-old mobile game, to say nothing of ever finding an 8-year-plus mobile game that's still alive and actively being developed and supported. That is ancient in that ecosystem. So it's just nice to see consistency out of them. I think the team, when they merged studios and they've gotten their overseas team kind of spinning up now and getting into the groove, they're really starting to find their footing where they hadn't previously. They're getting really good with communication. They're getting really consistent with the messages, and they're getting good at talking to the community, which we'll talk about new avenues of that in a little bit. So overall, I'm very pleased and impressed.
So are they becoming our primary competition and content provision for Star Trek Timelines? Are we?
Yeah, I think they're going to at least poach one of the hosts here to
TPG podcast
to come work like on their. Imagine if they had a Discord or something and they poached one of you. That would just be silly.
So that's a great segue too. We'll talk a little bit about the new Discord. So Genos, tell us a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so the years ago, you may have recalled, TPG came out with a Star Trek Legends mobile game. It was offered through the Apple Arcade, which was you pay for the Apple Arcade and you get a series of games that you could play. There was no in-app purchases. You got the whole game, but you had to pay a monthly subscription. So a lot of the Timelines players got into that for a short period of time until I got bored of the story, and the free subscription ran out, and a lot of us just flounced from the game at that point. That game continued on, and has a core group of players, and there was an official Discord for Legends, which they have now sort of resurrected and repurposed. There's still Legends content in there, and now there is Star Trek Timelines content. I don't think TPG has really publicized too much that it's out there, but I think they're going to be. So right now it's just kind of spreading through word of mouth through the variety of different fleet and wider Discords and not the forums yet, because the forums don't actually know that like voyages exist yet.
So the Trick Time YouTube channel that also hosts this podcast, actually, I don't know if we're under an NDA or not, but no one listens to hour two of the Big Book Pod. So here we go. We were approached about some pre-release Steam footage of Legends, so you may see some of that on this channel in the coming weeks, and then maybe that'll help you decide for yourself if that looks like the kind of game that you'd be interested in.
Yeah, Genos was describing it to me. I don't have any exposure because I haven't had an Apple device for a while, but it sounds interesting. A kind of a skill-driven RPG. It sounds like something that's right up my alley. I really, for my money, I'm not really into the fleet command style games where you've got you're upgrading your keep and you're going out and doing PvP. But I can sink my teeth into a good RPG, so I'll be taking a look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Auto, don't you want your keep to go from level 34 to level 35 after 72 hours of waiting? Isn't that exciting?
In 6 months of gathering resources, yes, that sounds like fun to me. So let's, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I also played it when it first came out. And yeah, it was fun. I think the real reasons I stopped were you did at the time. When it first came out, you kind of hit a wall because they hadn't really developed a ton of new content for it. And I'm mostly the kind of person that can really only commit to one game at a time, because I get to a certain point where it's like, I'm either going to give up the game or like, oh, I need to achieve good things. And so, I was playing playing Timelines already. Didn't want to spend all the time on my phone, more than I already do. So I stepped away from that, but yeah, promising game. The fact that it's still around these days means that it had a good following.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
available now exclusively on Steam. Next. Yeah, it looks like there's not going to be any more incremental payments, just you buy it once and you own it. So interesting approach. So I would like to go through the rest of our news updates, kind of rapid fire here, because everybody wants to get to some stats, right? You want to do some BigBook.app stats talk. So we're going to get around to that in just a moment. Just some housekeeping here. So for anybody playing on Android, it's 2 times to lithium. I personally will just interject a note here. I don't really recommend taking on any of the large games for a 2x to lithium event. You want to save those
on the offer wall.
On the offer wall, right? That's right too.
Yeah, you just get 2 times the lithium for having Android.
Yeah, right. Congratulations, every Android owner. The offer wall does have some really big, juicy payouts, but they get even larger around about 2 or 3 times a year when they do the 4x multiplier. So it takes
Linda's getting larger. That's right. Obligatory airplane.
Take some. Thank you, Mr. Zucker. So yeah, we're going to take some smaller offers here to pad out our account, but nothing large. Player's Choice survey is still up. That's going to inform a later Player's Choice mega event. Stand Up Be Counted. It's part of their metrics. Even if you don't really care about the choices, go ahead and fill out the survey form. Do it for Danjevin. He really appreciates it. Let's see here. Otto, I want to mention Automaton 2000 myself. That's me, Automaton 2000. I got shouted out during the WRG cast that the trait audit had a lot of work done by myself for years and years and years. So as they are reviewing and adding traits, Danjevin, any thoughts about all the hard work that I've put in over the years?
Shut up, Otto, you moron.
No, you know what? We're going to stay positive. I hope they really nail this trade audit, and that's all I, Danjevin, have to say about it.
Right on. Only the big book and only the Big Book Plus video podcast subscribers are going to know for sure what's exactly going on here.
We have a limited amount of that swearing beep that we can interject each podcast. We're going to save that for later on in case we need it.
Yeah, those beeps are expensive, folks.
So Honor Hall is going to have a data featured as the next character. There will be finally something interesting to chase after other than 250 dilithium in the epic slot for continuum missions. For those participating in those, there will be an exclusive crew that will be featured for the final reward, potentially running for 4 to 5 weeks. I'm guessing 4. That seems to be their giveaway crew benchmark, so that we have to cite the last one, but we'll see how good it is. No news on what that is yet. Coming soon, probably by the end of February. Voyager trait collection, staggered milestones where we get 1 skill boosting and then 1 just straight drops of currencies and maybe premium packs alternating. Equipment rebalance, a few new equipments. They didn't mention decommissioning old equipments. I think that was mentioned much longer ago when they first introduced the new continuum mission and equipment features. So look for the rebalance to maybe add something, but maybe we'll still get to use those Binars equipments that we've been stockpiling. And finally, I want to just call out the what I'm calling the senior product manager elderly moment of the TPG podcast, where Ben, and I quote, stated, we will, quote, brainstorm ways to adjust players' wallets. So thank you, Ben, for keeping an eye on our personal economy.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. I have way too many business cards and random things in my wallet. They need to go. I appreciate the help.
If Ben wants a coupon for Five Guys, I think I could hook him up.
I love their fries, man.
They are
Get him
good.
some Dunkin' Donuts.
Cajun fries for the win.
Big Book Podcast, sponsored by Five Guys. All right, here we go.
Hey, which
We are
conveniently
Five
enough
Guys.
is who is currently talking to you.
Featuring Five Guys, sponsored by. All right, let's get on to new crew. Here we go. So we've got one really big. I mean, I want to start out with the biggest and the best here to keep our listeners entertained. We've got Omediclon debuting as the new Gauntlet exclusive, replacing Power Ransom, who had a good run about 6 months. Frank, what are your thoughts on our new Omediclon?
You know, Unicron looks pretty good. He's got similarities to Caretaker a little bit, or Tribbled Koloth and Cortax, Koloth. Don't blame me, I voted for Kang. It was expected because they've, speaking earlier about them getting consistent, they've gotten consistent with their frequency of honor sales, honor hall updates, gauntlet crew updates, and I guess to an extent maybe portal updates yet to be seen. So it's a welcome change. It's a welcome character. Good character from the Dominion War arc, and pretty good stats.
At the stats here, I see he's got an interesting skill set here. We've got a sec primary with a eng secondary, med tertiary. Really, really interesting. Nifty, what are your thoughts on that mix of skills and what he can bring to the gauntlet and to other aspects of the game?
I'm pretty excited for the it's like people have already said, it's a different skill set, not unique, but it's stuff we don't see a lot. And usually you find yourself going into a gauntlet, if med or eng aren't featured, you probably don't have a lot of it going around, outside of really Caretaker and Red Angel. And yeah, there's a few others that have their moments, but Caretaker and Red Angel are the only kind of frequent gauntleteers who do much worth noting in those skills. Correct me if I'm forgetting about anybody else. And even Caretaker, I find myself not taking him as much unless he's getting at least 25%. So it'll be nice to have some fresh blood in those upper ranks. And yeah, there'll be complaints of the inevitable walls of this character, and I don't have him yet either, and maybe I'll be bummed out forever and ever as I get decimated by those lucky enough to have him, but that's all part of the game.
So, Janos, you've been an advocate of hashtag cite old gauntlet exclusives, but things have changed recently. What are your thoughts? This guy is starting out with 4 collections here. Seems like an interesting target for citation. What do you think?
Yeah, so I was a big advocate of citing the old non-featured gauntlet exclusives in the days before they introduced the Behold metric, or Behold feature for your rewards, your jackpots in Gauntlet. I have not cited any of my old exclusives, even though I'm only 1 star away on 3 of them, and they're all pretty heavy hitters. Crew that I'd want to quit for Gauntlet, that I want that final star for collections. And also, since the Gauntlet exclusive collection has moved away from stat boost to just the legendary citation, it doesn't have the value anymore. Things have changed a little bit with equipment because you got to get all 5 stars, but at the same time, everyone's in the same situation. I think a lot of players don't want to cite their Gauntlet exclusives unless they're going for like a first to max or something. So we're probably not going to see a whole bunch of equipped Omet Ikwan omelets in the Gauntlet for some time, honestly. Even though he is such a powerhouse, I think we're going to see just his bland vanilla Gauntlet exclusive stats instead of the massive equipment stats.
Yeah, he's certainly powerful. Debuting at the number 2 spot for Gauntlet, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 10 number 1 gauntlets here, with a whole bunch of number 2s and 3s that he debuts at a tier S plus, and remains to be seen whether they add any new Gauntlet trait assortments that are custom tailored to Dominion or Scoundrel, or something that we haven't seen a whole lot of in the past year. So will be interesting.
Yeah, Genos calls him vanilla, but he's like Tahitian vanilla bean because he's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
If I, Danjevin, were a betting man, absolutely they're going to add more sets. But even without him, he is extremely close. You can see not just the rank, but the numerical rating very close to our number 1 Gauntleteer, Admiral Black. And the secret sauce really is the skill set, because by overall power, he's only 9th. But he infringes on a lot of skill combos that had almost no options. I mean, for Sec Med, some people are still thawing the Purple Crew Mirror Phlox. For Sec Eng, it was pretty much Tribbled Koloth and Korax and no one else. Maybe you bring along Burnham or what the 2016, 2017 Gangster Spock when they had 45%. But that versatility really helps. Even without crit, you may be bringing them at 5% sometimes if Sec or Med is the featured skill, and it kind of relieves pressure on crew with I'm thinking defensive Phlox, the Sec Med there. You kind of had to pick him if it was a med gauntlet, now maybe you can pivot away from that. If he's only 5%, no, Metaclon's going to be 25. So versatility is a big thing. You know, he may not go to 3 and 4 fatigues like some of the real heavy hitters, but you know, he should decisively win those rare skill combo matchups.
Yeah, he's a unicorn. I'm excited because we haven't Power Ransom didn't really get me going. I wasn't playing a whole lot of Gauntlet while he was featured. I felt like I had a lot of his skills covered pretty well, but I'm competing for Ometaclon, so watch out. And we have I think we've said enough good things about Ometaclon. Let's try to push it here and see if we can find some good things to say about. Oh wait, is this a yeah. Unfortunately, I hate to say to our dear listeners here, we are on to Dream Alien Leader. Well, I won't bury the lead here, but let's start with who's buying the campaign this month and who's earning 4 copies for free of the Dream Alien Leader.
The leader is good. The leader is great. We surrender our will as of this date. And I did buy the campaign, but I am a habitual campaign buyer because of the ancillaries. And if I didn't screw up and accidentally cite him when I was trying to fuse him with another copy, I wouldn't be citing him. He's just that boring to me, honestly.
Yeah, Command Dipsec, we're back here. Hey, well, I have to say one good thing about him. He's not a Command Dipsec character. Frank, are you a Dream Alien Leader owner?
I am, and Dreamweaver, I wake up every night dreaming of him and his 2 collections, which is just like, wow, that's so worth the special premium. You know, he's got launch voyage scores right in the middle of the mid-50s, early 60s pack, like most cards that launch today, with the Command Sec Dip skill set. So if you don't pay for the premium campaign, folks, don't worry, you didn't miss anything this month.
Nifty, what are your thoughts on his? Yeah, what are your thoughts on his collections? Because he's got a little bit of headway here, doesn't he?
So he does have only 2 collections, as Frank pointed out. He does have a nice spread of traits that could show up. So if you do have him, he's an investment in the future. We have no rumors floating around yet of any pending collections. I would not go out of my way to grab him today just because of that potential future. As Jeno said, if you're getting the campaign, you're probably getting it for the other benefits, and he is just a crew that's thrown in there. Even, you know, at first glance, you think his ship ability is pretty good, but that's limit 2. So if you're really hurting for 400 instant damage, 400% instant damage crew, maybe he'll show up on your arena battles, but really, no. Retrieve somebody else if you don't have retrieve Taco. Retrieve somebody that you can also use in fleet boss battles.
Let me pose this question: is this the first time that the $10 legendary is better than the $25 legendary in the campaign? Because I think it is.
Yeah, Videla Elder is a fantastic crew. I think any newer player would be excited and get a whole lot of value off of 4 stars on that, and maybe leave the Dream Alien Leader off to the sidelines for a little bit. Maybe I'll circle back a little bit and talk about Ometaclon, because he had an arena ability that we kind of glossed over here, and we'll talk about another crew later on that kind of eclipses him. But just to point out, always keep an eye on those arena abilities. Ometaclon has a 6-second initiation plus 16,000 crit bonus. Nothing to sneeze at, with also a plus 10 attack. So really viable for your attack boosting crew on fleet boss battles. There's no limit to it. Also great for skirmish and arena as well.
If you're willing to cite him and you can get him.
Yep.
He's probably the least accessible of the crew that are surrogates in that big attack, big crit.
All right, so I think that's more than enough about this month's campaign. If you're still looking to invest, you can always wait until the last day. Make your decision.
Hold on a second, because I, Danjevin, have noted before on this podcast, I'm pretty choosy about who I shell out money for. Could someone at Tilting Point Games explain to me the thought process of this will suck in players to drop an extra $15 on the game? Because nobody remembers where he's from. I mean, Otto, I know you're a big Chakotay guy, and that's from his episode. I bet even you had to double take when you heard this name. The skill set is bad. Like, there's no great metric. There's nothing flashy. And then putting him right next to a better legendary even kind of highlights how boring he is. So I know we've been positive, so it's me, Danjevin, my job to bring it down a little bit. But I just, is there a reason here, or did they just miss the mark on this one?
Yeah, maybe, I think maybe they're testing out the Janos and Frank theory of we'll buy it no matter what you put in there, so let's just cram some junk in. They want the sites and the dilithium anyways, right? So
All about the Voyage revival tokens.
We call it Nifty Cillin. Nifty Cillin.
Gimme.
I think once they added Starbase components to the premium track, we're like, oh, okay, this is the turning point. Now we're buying everyone.
It's called tilting point.
It was the tilting point.
Oh, God.
All right, you shields.
So that we talked about the spendy option. How about the competitive option? So for our players coming up on the event starting on the 16th, we have another faction event beginning. That you can compete for probably one of the best Dex variants, if not the best ever released, which isn't saying much. She's got some real stinkers, but we've got rejoined Jadzia Dex with a really pretty strong Psi primary, but it's coming next. Dip and Command. Yep, we have another Command Dip Psi crew. Nifty, you gonna get another #1 finish for rejoined Jadzia Dex?
I will not. Not that she's not a worthy contender for somebody to win multiple copies of. I just won't have it in me to try again. But I will go for at least one copy, and we'll see how competitive it gets and how my resources are doing. Maybe I'll play around with the top 750 rank as well. But yeah, I mean, she's great. She's again the best Dax we've seen in a while, if not ever. Excuse me, Jadzia Dax. Ezri has gotten love. Jadzia has not. And it's such a dependable event name, and you're going to have factions or faction galaxies where having this crew on your roster, even at only 1-2 stars, whatever, she's going to do some work for you, especially if you ever want to go deep in an event. Shout out to my earlier victory. What also helped was having a deep roster of Klingons who I had ready to go. I thawed people I'd never thaw. You got to get deep on those shuttles if you want to have extended success beyond the core 4. And so, yeah, she's a great candidate for using in all sorts of events. And I think she even has a little bit of voyage potential, but that's... When we start talking like that, it's really just those of us that want to change things up or want to milk every last little bit out of our voyages. I wouldn't necessarily hunt her down for voyages alone, given the skill set is just replicated elsewhere.
Yeah, I think I'd pump the brakes on talking about Voyagers. Being a Command Dip Psi crew debuting at Voyage rank 92, she is well far down that later losers curve and will be pushed even further. Now, she does have some good seats. She's actually got an interesting array of traits here. And so every once in a great while, when a favorable triplet comes up, she may be your best choice for certain seats. But we're talking, if you're going to be winning 1 star and investing 4 citations on rejoined Jadzia Dex, may not be the best investment of your resources. Frank, Janos, Danjevin, any further notes that we can share on this crew?
Yeah, actually, when I saw the headshot, I'm like, wait a second, isn't that Darlene Kursky? It's extremely similar. And so I started looking at the cards. They're actually extremely similar. Another Command Dip Psi Gold. I believe she was the last gold Jadzia released. Very similar scorecards on their big book pages. Event first, a little bit of voyage. The new one has more traits, but we're not getting a Federation or a Starfleet or a Desperate collection. So that kind of only helps with antimatter. But as you've established, Dan, by raw score, she's already in the triple-digit ranks, rank 113 at the moment, with a bad skill set.
The whole reason I think I'm going to go after this card is because I'm really enjoying Terry Farrell, who is now on about half of the Delta Flyers podcasts, because they're now doing Deep Space Nine as a rewatch now that they finished Voyager. So I'm really enjoying her take, and it's cool to hear her voice and seeing her introduced as a new card. I'm really gonna grab a couple of copies. And the art is good, and if I'm not mistaken, this is from Lenora Khan episode of Deep Space Nine, which was controversial and stirred up some things. So I think from that perspective, I'll grab a couple copies. Then maybe eventually she'll get retrieved to finish the Troll collection, because I think you still need most of them to top that out at the 40. So better to finish her than, unfortunately, like someone like a Lenara Khan, or a really old like Brains Jadzia Dax, or alternate future Dax, any of those crew.
You'll hear me say this 3 times on the pod, and this one rings true. The artwork's great. I love the artwork, and just for the artwork alone, I'm solely going to go for it.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of I Dream of Jeannie vibes, the poofy shirt and the little phylactery. Yeah, interesting. So let's take a look at one of the prizes from prior weeks. We had the opportunity to compete for Scorpion Tendi recently. The interesting variant for people's bridges and avatars, but also pretty playable here. So, Frank, were you able to snag a few copies of Scorpion Tendi, and how's she working for you?
Yes, and for the second time, I say fantastic art, and it's a great skill set with Sec Psi Med. And some really unique traits that roll along with it, like brutal and desperate and duelist, explorer. Also, anytime an Orion comes up that's not one of the original Orions that are terrible, it's always a welcome thing. So for me, I think this is one of the best cards that's come out in a long time. Raw Voyage score, she might not top the charts, but I find a lot of use for this card. I'm dragging this card through continuum missions right now to enhance, because I want this card to be voyaging for me for a long time.
And so, Jenna, so you have any other takes for Scorpion Tendi that we can talk about?
Yeah, I grabbed 2 copies, not just for the objective event, but for the same reasons that Frank mentioned. It's fun art. I like Tendi. The skill set is really fantastic. Years ago, I remember Otto on Timelines Talks, the #1 premium exclusive show for all things Star Trek Timelines, had mentioned the dearth of Sec Psi in the game, and I still carry that to this day. If I can find a big amount of Sec Psi, I'm going to grab it. So I grabbed those 2 copies, and I think she might be my fun site the next time the honor sale rolls around. I'll throw 3 sites on her and finish that off. Or recaps I think are coming soon. So she was the event reward, so she'll be in those recap packs. So maybe I'll grab a couple copies and finish her off there.
Yeah, excellent. I like the big sec base to start, and then all the other combos that she have are icing on the cake. She's got quite a few #1 combinations for her pair and triplet on various voyage seats. Debuting a little bit weak at a voyage rank on the bigbook.app of number 67, but her skill set really does push her up, and she'll have a lot of staying power, I think. They just don't really print crew frequently in this triplet at all, so I think she'll stick around for a while.
I, Danjvin, am known for my lyric puns, so if you want my Tendi and you think I'm sexy, come on, sugar, let me know.
Well, thanks for letting us know, Danjvin.
You wish you thought of that one.
That was good. Yeah, I'll take it. This is why we pay you the big bucks.
You mean the big book bucks?
The big bucks. The big bucks.
The Big Bucks podcast.
So we have the good fortune, since the bigbook.app has a little bit of precognition to crew yet to come, we have the good fortune of talking about some crew that are on the near horizon here. The first of which, and probably really the most exciting one to talk about, is going to be Ubiquitous Borg Queen, and currently on bigbook.app debuting at Tier 1. Very rare, only shared by currently 5 total crew.
6. Locutus is Tier 1 in our heart.
In our hearts, always in our hearts. Good news for players, she is free. Available as a prize for completing the epic level of Continuum missions, replacing the normal 250 dilithium drop. You'll receive 1 copy of Ubiquitous Borg Queen each week. This week, and for a total of 4 or 5 weeks, according to Ben and Joe over at TPG. Wow, what's exciting about this? Anybody jump in? We got a lot to talk about with Ubiquitous Board Queen.
And for the third time, I will say the art, the art, the art. I will let you guys cover all the stats and everything about it, but this is now my absolute tier 1 favorite art in the game. It is absolutely detailed. It is gorgeous. It captures this horrific character in a surprise from Picard season 3 finale. Spoilers. Done by visual effects artist Mike Zhu, who is a fantastic VFX artist, and they just captured it. I'm so pleased. I have no words. The art alone sells it.
Yeah, there's a depth to it. They've really got the shading just right. I'm really happy that they did it honor. And it's difficult too, because I'm sure that the reference that we all saw in the episode, it was filmed very darkly. So to be able to get the level of detail, they must have used dailies to be able to reference this and get it properly in the game. Somebody took a lot of extra effort to deliver this, and I'm impressed as well. But it's not the big art podcast. We need to talk about a Voyage debut rank of number 2 on a Command Sec Psi crew. Man, Command Sec Psi, that sounds pretty familiar. What's there to say about a crew like this, Janos?
Yeah, I mean, I again, if you can give me Sec Psi in any permutation, I'm happy about it. But honestly, the overall Voyage power is what's going to carry the day here. You don't see number 1, number 2 Voyagers fall into the game all that often, and they don't fall away all that often. Captain Braxton notwithstanding, sorry. And just some fantastic traits as well. So she can go on your voyages. Borg, Desperate, Cultural Figure, Crafty Communicator. These are all antimatter traits. Several of them are collection traits. It's just a fantastic card all around. The debate in the community is going to be dupe or not with the number 2 overall Voyager that you can get 4 out of 5. That's where she's coming in.
She's number 2, where number 1 is currently Mir Tuvok, who, although is technically available to everyone, you do have to have the luck of finding him in your faction store, and you have to have the 5,000 dilithium to shell out for him. And then number 3 on the Voyage ranks, once she debuts, Chances Taken Kirk. Again, available to everyone, but you have to work for those 3 copies, or even the first copy, and spend sites to get him up to 5/5. Meanwhile, she is quote-unquote free for not much effort. Everybody is going to have a chance to earn her copies. Absolutely phenomenal.
So a little bit of reference here. So we've all been flying acting Captain Eric's pretty frequently in this same skill set. Ubiquitous Borg Queen's raw voyage score is 107 points higher than acting Captain Eric's. So another premier Voyager in the pair, Command Sec. You called out Nifty Chances Taken Kirk. Ubiquitous Borg Queen is currently in second place, just behind the premium final boss reward that you get for fleet boss battles. So that's a pretty fantastic pedigree from where I'm standing. What other value does this card have? Yep.
Yeah, Otto, I knew you were handsome, but you're very intelligent too, because I also wanted to bring up acting Captain Eric's. About a year and a half old now. Now, he debuted at number 4 Voyage. He's still in the top 10 after a year and a half, and their power creep surges do come and go. Sometimes they will just, absolutely blow up the top 10, and sometimes they'll go a year plus with only 1 or 2 editions there. So I kind of want to hate on this crew because Command Sec is extraordinarily common for Voyagers, but I just kind of can't. A top 3 base, top 2 Voyage, even if you have another Command Sec option like Chances Taken Kirk, maybe even if you duped him, you would still use at least your first copy of Borg Queen. I wouldn't recommend duping her because I think she does have a lot of overlap, but the first copy will absolutely get a lot of use in several areas of the game. I do think that tier might be a bit inflated by an arena ability, which is kind of second tier for what it does. Attack, crit bonus boosts you can find in better supply. But if you are short on sites and you want to try to hit several areas at once, maybe you don't want to retrieve a better or go to the honor hall for a better attack booster, she can do it in a pinch. So that is some value, but I wouldn't say, in a vacuum that this is someone that you want to go go after just for that.
Final notes here on this card. Excellent shuttle rating. Her extremely large command base means that she'll also get you a lot of work in faction events as well. And the Big Book podcast has her, the BigBook.app has her rated a number 9 overall for shuttle usage, probably in large part just because of the frequency of command shuttles that we see. So,
Good luck spelling her name.
With continual missions, that huge base is gonna do a lot of work. Voyages, obviously, if you're a newer player, you can absolutely use her on ships, and then there is collection value. Not great now, but with several viable traits for the future, really the only thing missing from that scorecard is Gauntlet, and we'll always have a Metaclon for that.
The proficiencies are somewhat healthy.
Well, yeah,
It's a
10
good stop
different
gap.
45% sets. So if you're a very new player, you really only need that first star, but yeah.
Very nice. So moving on to Seska and Kulla. So we have another standing up, sitting down dual crew here. Seska and Cullen will be our event reward in the upcoming. Is it? So the future. I think it's going to be a combination skirmish and galaxy event that we have on the books here for 2 events from now. Seska and Kulla featuring a Sec primary with an Eng secondary and a Command tertiary. So another interesting skill set to talk about. Who's going to be gunning for Seska and Kulla for their office chair collection?
You've heard me say it 3 times now, and I promised you 3. Here's 4. The artwork alone. The beautiful Flash Furniture Garver mid-back burgundy fabric executive swivel chair, available right now on Amazon for $109, can be yours a whole lot cheaper if you win this card. Because if you've ever wanted a card of a Star Trek character sitting in a mid-2000s office chair, here you go, complete with casters, armrest, and everything.
Can we just end the podcast right there, please?
I think that's it.
That's it. Thanks for joining us.
So yeah, debuting at a voyage score of 75. Again, a little bit of a more scarce skill set here, but not completely out of the realm of possibility. I'm not seeing a whole lot of ratings reasons and power level reasons to really go in heavy for Seska and Kulla, but I'd like to hear some differing viewpoints here. Nifty, what are your thoughts on this crew?
Well, as we know, there's been a small but very vocal contingent of players that have just been begging for another Kulla card, and so their dreams have finally come true. Beyond that, though, no, this is tier 6 on debut, is average at a number of things, is subpar at others, and has amazing art. So, that alone, we'll always advocate for just taking a card because you love the art or you love the character, and there's nothing wrong with doing that here. But don't feel bad if you miss out for any reason.
Genos, do you like mashing buttons for skirmish, or are you just going to accidentally get a couple of copies of this?
I do like to mash buttons. So the good news is they've got quite a few traits that'll eventually pay off, even though the only one right now is Cardassian, and then we've got the Voyager collection pending, even though it's going to be kind of a halvesy collection. The bad news is this is a missed opportunity for them to have another fusion card with the 4-star Kazon Seska that we just got and the 3-star Maj Kulla. Missed opportunity. More fusions, please. Frank was sure they were going to screw up somehow the fuse with the Nausicaan Thug, and someone would soft lock their account and have to be unlocked, but didn't end up happening.
No, they've been very clear, no Stabby Picard. So, all right. Enough said about these 2 as one. We have a little footnote today. We don't usually go too in depth on the purples. But I thought that my esteemed co-host Danjevin might have something to say about the purple that will also be featured in Seska and Kulla's event, by the name of Homesteader Chakotay. Interesting. Homesteader Chakotay. Is there somebody that likes... Is that me? Do I like Chakotays? I think Automaton 2000 myself is a Chakotay fan, but I'd like to hear what Danjevin has to say about this card.
Yeah, you talk about Chakotay too much, Otto. Let Danjevin speak up.
I will not be entrapped. I was invited on this podcast under false pretenses. I will not make enemies of the Big Book podcast. No, it's a shame. That's all I'll say. It's a shame, and the romantic trait is obviously missing.
Folks, you've heard me say it 4 times now, and I'm going to give you a 5th bonus. The artwork, the artwork, the artwork. If you've got money right now and you want to get a card, light your money on fire and do not get this card, because, oh my God, the artwork is like, a blind child with one arm and some crayons and some paper from the office that Seska and Cullen got their chair from could have done better art than this. No offense to the artist who is blind and one-armed that did actually do this art.
His legs look like beef jerky. I think that's the only thing I really have to say about the art. I'm just staring at him. Our Big Book Plus subscribers will be able to get a good look here while we're talking about him.
I do get big Jasper Beardley vibes. That's a paddling, the way he's kind of slapping that 2x4 against his hand. But yeah, definitely a face app, a filter kind of moment there.
Enough about this smooth skin. So I think that gets us caught up on some of the power crew that we've been competing for and earning recently. I do want to take a break from the crew for a moment. And talk about the objective event. So we have a little bit of news. We just had dropped that the new, I won't say new, it's the 3rd time it's been run. The Continue a Mission objective event is coming up on our doorstep. So a 2-week-long event. We've done it twice before. So anybody that was really excited to get their fully fused, fully equipped crew maxed out to 4 equipment slots, now is going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel and find some other guys to shove through these continuum missions just to be able to hit these thresholds. Is this worth it? Are we still doing this? What are the rewards? Why are we doing this? Why are we playing this game? What is Star Trek Timelines? Wasn't there a Star Trek Legends? No. I think we're going to talk about Timelines today. Frank, are you still playing these objective events?
I am not. The grand prize is a legendary behold, which is good for most people. However, as we'll talk about, there's a portal update coming soon, and a legendary behold before a portal update is just like a Chakotay with bad art. Nobody wants that. There's like a voyage token and some merits and maybe a little bit of quantum. And if you're actually playing the continuum mission feature, you'll progress through most of this naturally. But otherwise, it's one that you can skip and you're not really going to miss out on much.
Nifty, I see a voyage token in here in the rewards. Are you playing these?
Got my eyes wide. I think this is a good opportunity to, if you're looking forward to any faction event that is on record, where we know the traits coming up, or we know who the existing cards are that are going to be in the event, break them out now and unlock a couple slots on them. They can really boost you in the faction if you have any aspirations of any sort of rank whatsoever. Maybe your first top 1500. To get a deeper roster for the most recent faction, I was getting all sorts of Klingons with, mediocre by other standards bases that got the 2x multiplier. I was opening up a couple slots on them because those first 2 slots only require 4 battles each of the continuum mission. So it's not that hard to therefore progress on the slots unlocked objective, because you really have to grind to get that 3rd and then 4th slot open. But if you start opening 1 and 2 slots on a bunch of crew that you may use in events later, those slots are permanent. You can freeze them, you can thaw them later. The slot's still there. So it could just be a chance to kind of diversify your options in the equipment world. But as Frank said, the rewards themselves aren't that great. So if you just don't care, you're not missing out on a ton of stuff.
Well said. I think that I tend to agree. I mean, I do play and I try to complete these continuum missions. I wouldn't be too sad to miss out on the end reward here. I think that a little bit of strategy going in is good, and you really have to pick your battles lately. There's so much to do in Star Trek Timelines that, unless you put yourself in the position of playing it as a part-time job, such as us content creators earning the big bucks from our sponsors, like Taco Mayweather Bell paying us the big bucks for the new combo Hita platter.
And Five Guys.
And Five Guys. Very food-oriented here. They must know that us gamers like to eat, so... Thank you, Danjevin. And also we're right on the eve of another Crunchy Crons event. Credit to Jano Sedanian for coining the phrase. You gotta pick your battles, and I think I'm much more excited about critical chronotons and making sure that I maximize that and get all the quantum for 2 full retrievals of exactly the crew that I want. As opposed to just getting some random gold behold. Old moldy gold beholds. Is that the prize they're trying to force down our throats for a 2-week effort? I'm not buying it. One more objective event to talk about, though, the one that we are just wrapping up here, which was a month-long Convergence Day anniversary event. This is an interesting one. It's the first time they've really given us this much gold in one objective event. We had the opportunity to earn up to 3 stars as a consequence for playing in the weekend events, earning crew, fusing them up, leveling them up. I want to take a little bit of a different approach here. Instead of us discussing each crew in depth, I'd like to throw them all out there and let you all take a stab at whichever one you'd like. So we have a few crew to talk about that were given as rewards: Captain Tuvok, Usmana Topol, Kashyyyk, Elder Saru. So let's start with Genos. Which would you like to talk about, and what are your big favorite tips for the crew of your choice?
Thank you, Otto. I would like to talk about Usmana Topol, who is our build for Gauntlet option. This was the biggest no-brainer citation for me, starting at 3 out of 5 from the rewards, add 2 citations, I think 6 or 7 collections, which is well above average. Then once you get her fully fused, you can start opening up all those equipment slots, bringing her to Gauntlet. She gets so many elevated crit sets. It was an easy choice. She was my number 1 reward from this objective event, outside of maybe the COP Cisco, which only required 1 additional site to get his 7 collections.
Yeah, excellent Gauntlet card, debuting at Gauntlet rank number 11. Really kind of a vanilla skill set, but a lot of power there, and really unique opportunities in the Gauntlet. So again, I think we've been hurt. Maybe Tilting Point has heard, hey, it's difficult to break into Gauntlet. Let's make an excellent new exclusive that drops that's usable in the Gauntlet instead of giving us another Voyager. Let's find some different avenues to push these out. So I'm proud of them. Good job, guys. Frank, what's your favorite crew from this most recent objective Convergence Day event?
Well, Otto, I'll tell you who's not my favorite crew, and that would be Captain Tuvok. And the reason being the art. No, I'm not going to do the art. Although his uniform is poor fitting and he needs to see a tailor. Out of all the crew that we got, as Jeno said, we got a great Gauntleteer, as somebody will tell you about Kashyyyk. We got a great Voyager. We got a great 2-skill crew, if that's your jam, and if it is, you need to go see a doctor immediately. Tuvok does ship battles, and he's automatically been beaten by crew that are coming out very soon or have come out around the same time, so he's not even great at that. Tuvok's ship ability, Resignation Denied, 20,000 crit bonus with no trigger, initializes in 4 seconds, and it's up for 8, cooldown for 10, and it's got a pretty good set of equipment bonuses. That's a strong crit bonus, especially when you compare it to what other people may currently be using in that meta for crit bonuses, like Vox, who is only 16,000. And Vox comes up at 6 seconds instead of 4, but Vox lasts longer. So then you have to start to math out, well, do I want more upfront or do I want more over a longer period of time?
You should also consult a doctor on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, people have been asking that question for a long time.
Who would like to take the next crew? We've got a few left to talk about here.
I'll speak up for Kashyyyk. He's not just
Right,
the Wookiee's
folks.
home planet.
Kashyyyk, please, you're killing me here. Because Counterpoint's a fabulous episode. Kashyyyk, please, thank you.
All right. I'll also speak up for Kashyyyk. In fact, I'll pivot to Kashyyyk. We'll leave Kashyyyk for another podcast. Kashyyyk is pretty great. He is the Voyager of the bunch. In fact, he debuts as a top 10 Voyager in the game, and in his skill set, it's dip sec. We think, oh, everyone sees the dip and sec all the time, but he is actually the number one dip sec or sec dip Voyager there is. The only ones that even come close to him would be Grady and Vori Defender Chakotay, and they are Voyage exclusives, so it's going to be a lot harder to get copies of them than his Cheek. And most importantly, he's got that Eng tertiary, which that's going to go a long way in keeping him relevant for a long time. Some of these powerful Voyagers, they debut, and then in a few months, they're yesterday's news, and we've got some new thing that they've thrown at us, and that person's going to be a top Voyager for the next few months, and repeat and repeat and repeat. But when you throw that Eng tertiary in there, he's going to have some staying power over some of the other one and done Voyagers that we've seen over the years.
And sorry, Danjevin, but I feel the need. I am passionate about Elder Saru. I think I'm going to take this final one here. So we also received a shuttler, and man, I love my shuttles. I think Automaton 2000 myself has
Don't you slander me.
has participated in quite a few faction events in the past to great effect. But this crew is just not the one that I'm going to be maxing out. First in a very long time, a 2-skill crew with a dip primary and a command secondary. And not much else to talk about. Inconsequential for ship battles, really some collection value to start. Debuting with actually 5 collections is nothing to sneeze at. And also with such a strange list of traits, maybe a little bit of upside in the future for untapped potential. But really the primary day one usage for Elder Saru is just going to be to shoehorn into a couple of shuttles here and there. I think that he'll be effective, but I'm not spending additional sites to bring him to max. I'm going to wait probably a year until he makes his way into the portal and bring him up the natural way over time. I think that wraps up the objective event. The only other thing I wanted to talk and roundtable a little bit is if anybody had any particular strategy for this. If they get good metrics on this type of objective event, and they do it again, let's say for the next Convergence Day next year, is this something that we're going to be preparing for, saving up for, maybe trying to compete a little bit harder? The events were quite a bit more competitive, I felt, over the past 4 weeks. Has that affected your gameplay at all? Have you chased to make sure that you got a copy to fuse? And really, what about the mega recaps that are coming up this week? And is it worth investing in just to get an extra star or two off of the last couple of days of this objective event? What are your thoughts, folks?
I think it actually may open up the recaps for people that may not normally want to splash out on them. It does, still require some spending of dilithium, and there are other probably better ways that one could spend their dilithium. But if you do have a bit extra, maybe you've been playing around with the offer wall and have some extra lying around. It's your chance to maybe grab a couple copies of ones you missed, or to get those final stars where now you've had a few. Whereas normally with the events, most people are pushing to maybe earn that one copy out of an event. You can now get a few extras, plus these objective events where you've earned up to 3 on a bunch of them. So it's just it's a nice way to maybe flesh out some of these characters that we've already spoken of the virtues, or there's a risk of getting the ones where we weren't so kind about their offerings to the game.
And for players who are perhaps new or low spenders or real conservative with their resources, 2 of those events, a skirmish and a full faction, only offered so many copies of the purple that you need, whereas the 2 Galaxy or the Galaxy hybrids would give you all the 3 copies that you needed with, I say, more minimal VP. Some accounts may have a hard time getting to 130,000 VP to get the 3rd copy. If you're short a copy on one of those, kind of weigh your options. Look at the gold that it'll grant and figure out, is a purple site that you get at the end of a campaign, or just through 18,000 honor, which you can get pretty quickly through fleet boss battles these days and doing your dailies. Is that one purple site worth a copy of a gold to you? Because that's what you get, and that's pretty good, I think, transaction, 1 for 1.
I appreciate that they're trying something different. You know, it's another opportunity for people to earn crew different ways. And again, you know, not every crew is for every person. As Frank has said in the past, trying to get every single one is a fool's errand. It's just going to drive you crazy. But it's just more options for more crew, different ways to earn them. If you don't want to spend your weekend eventing, you now have another method for getting some new crew, fresh crew. And it's just, you know, if you don't want to, don't. And if you do, do. It's kind of the same thing we say about every part of this game. You know, it's all optional. And these crew are going to come around one day in the portal. So if you feel like you've missed out, they'll be back.
Well said. So we're almost to the end of our Big Book podcast, but I do want to touch briefly on something that Frank had mentioned earlier, that we do have a portal update incoming. To those of you saving up your premium packs in anticipation, congratulations. And for those of you who have spent them all on an arguably very strong portal update that we are just coming to the end of, also congratulations. What power crew are we looking for? Frank, if you have not yet earned all the crew in the game, or if you're looking to dupe, what crew are entering the portal that are you excited about?
Well, there's several good options, and there's also, you know, a great thing for updating the ship schematics that hit as well. If you've got packs saved up, the number one with a bullet crew that's going to be added to the portal, I think undisputed, is going to be SETI Alpha 5 Khan. He was released back in July. He's Dip Command Sec, which is, you know, the magical triplet. But he's got great traits and he's got great power. He's still a top Voyager, and you know, for somebody that has all the crew in the game, I use him frequently for my voyages. So if I can get use out of somebody, probably anybody can. But if you're looking to retrieve people, I say, and you're looking at the new folks that just joined, he should be given serious consideration if you want a power Voyager.
Nifty, how about you?
Yeah, I'll just interject real quick. If you're looking at him, he'll have at least 2 unique retrieval combos where you only need 2 pole stars. Caregiver, start collecting those caregiver pole stars now, because caregiver plus villain or caregiver plus interrogator, both of them do appear to be unique combinations. So someone may be fact checking me on that, but those caregiver pole stars are going to be probably going up in cost pretty quickly. So I would strike now if you're a keen listener of this podcast, because yeah, that's going to be a great, easy way to get your 5 copies, and 5 copies is what you want, unless you're just going to cite them, which I wouldn't fight anyone against doing. Make him a retrieval project and grab those copies.
Mm-hmm. So I'll talk about a few notables here. So we have a former campaign exclusive, Varani, who is one of the strongest Bajorans in the game, frequently flying on voyages for many of our paying Star Trek Timelines players, now available for free in the portal to those who would like to retrieve a number of unique combos for him, and currently holding at V rank 15, Voyage rank 15. Also entering some more power crew, well, a little bit more of a tired skill set. We do have Wanted Mariner and General Kivog also entering the portal. Very strong choices if you like your various personalities or Klingons.
Klingons with science. No one's ever given us a Klingon with science before.
And for people looking to fill out some of the more like skill unicorn type combinations here, Tarius Bashir and Tobin O'Brien are both going to be making it to the portal from our fun Trill Mega. Was it a Trill Mega?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, that was an excellent
we
one.
had a lot of Trill in a row. Yeah, all of the Jantara folks are coming to the game, coming to the portal, excuse me. And those 2 guys, I mean, they get a ton of use on my roster just due to that unique skill order. They find ways into your roster to fill out the holes, even when you may have just overall other powerful options. And I want to say, similar to Bashir, he's coming out as well, and he's very useful. I've been using him a lot in continuum missions as well. mostly as an excuse to boost him up for voyages, and then he just ends up being kind of in my rotation of who I choose to take to the Continuum mission.
So I, Danjvin, would like to talk about value over replacement. I'm not, if you have a tier 1 crew sitting there in City Alpha Con, fine. He's got good shuttle power, he's got good voyage power, he's got 5 collections, so why not? But in general, I'm a lot more choosy about retrieving Voyagers because, power creep dictates the newer ones are generally going to be better. But it's really the skill set that's the issue. 17 of the last 20 crew have had 2 of the 3, Command Dip and Sec. And so retrieving for that when you are just inundated with it week after week is not, I don't think it's the best way to go after things. A lot of players talk about, okay, this is, I use it on my crew, therefore they're good. Well, if you use the number 2 option on your crew and he's 99.6% as good, then does it really matter that you're using the other one more? In terms of total efficacy, power fall off, that kind of thing, it feels really good to put a crew and see their face on there, especially if you evented for them or spent money for them. But, if the efficiency is only a fraction of a percent better, then maybe your resources are better spent elsewhere. So when it comes to portal update time, I'm always looking to collections because they are evergreen. They will boost your roster power forever and ever. So a name like Leela Kira, 7 collections, top of my list with a bullet. All due respect to Khan, but I can get Command Hip Sec pretty much anywhere. And then, maybe second level, I'm looking at a couple of casual crew and tourist Hoshisato, Starfleet Medical Phlox. If I want to target a specific collection, maybe hit the next milestone. That's usually where my Bloodhound nose drags me. So the portal update opening up a lot of options for targeting milestones on a collection, I think is a nice way to go if you want that quick dopamine hit of another global skill boost.
Yeah, confirmation bias is strong. Hey, I mean, you'll be happy. May not be the optimal choice, though. A quick rundown on some of the crew that you may have sitting 4 out of 5 in your roster from past freebies/megas/campaigns. We have entering the portal La Serena Borg Queen, Jaron Sisko, 0 Hour Archer, your mega crew for the past 6 months. From campaigns, we have Chief Engineer Rutherford, excellent Fleet Boss Battle Healer choice. We have Amund Ralph Pike, Albert Macklin, Inside a Row, EV Suit Tendi, and of course we also mentioned Varani. Finally, the giveaway crew Mirror Boimler and Captain Picard de Riker. As we advise frequently, maybe not the best citation choices, but if you're going to be able to get a retrieval and just spend a little bit of the free quantum that you're dripping and a little bit of credit expenditure, you're going to be able to get all those collections out of that crew for your final star.
Otto, you're dripping your free quantum all over my rug. I just had it cleaned.
That's okay. With all our Big Book Plus income, we'll be able to get that spot cleaned for you. No problem. Retrieval roundtable quickly for each of you. Who's going to be your first retrieval once we get into this? One crew, pick one. What do you got, Frank?
I'm gonna go. I'm speaking for Frank too here. I'm actually going to go for Chief Engineer Rutherford because I'm using him on my Fleet Boss Battle Ultra Nightmare setup and Nightmare setup as one of my healers. And I've only got him at 3-5 right now, so I'm actually going to finish him out, make him nice and strong, and finish out my bridge level 29.
Nifty.
I actually don't know. I'm kind of scrambling here to find somebody.
Nifty's turning up his nose at the entire portal update.
No, I love portal updates. I usually hold on to packs that I earn until the portal update to flesh out those people that maybe I didn't get. I definitely look forward to grabbing the purples, the super rares that are available. I'm not advocating for crew retrieval on those guys though, but I do love when they show up in the portal. And there are definitely some legendaries out there that I know, I maybe only got the 1 copy. They weren't worth a citation to me at the time, but they're definitely going to be somebody that I want to start to fill out for collections. And I'll have to double check, but usually each update there's some crew that I just missed, and they might not even be good, but I love their art, and maybe I was busy that weekend or it was a galaxy, and for me, screw that. Where I'm glad I'm going to now have the opportunity to grab that copy.
Got to catch them all. Danjvin.
as you're doing this this pre-searching, you can go to bigbook.app/help and see all the different search commands there. My favorite one is, hyphen portal, minus portal. That means crew not yet in the portal, and you can kind of take a look at who might be coming up. I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing for years since BigBook.app launched. I go to the collections page and I run down the list there because that does take into account current power, the likelihood of future trades hitting, and that has served me well so far. And, it actually feels quite nice to go ahead and be proactive with crew who may have 4, 5, 6 viable traits, and they may not top the current list right now, but then week after, or rather month after month, they start ticking these collection boxes, and you're glad you did that ahead of time. So I will take the choice that buoys the power of all my crew across my roster.
All right, and for myself, Automaton 2000, since I'm an aficionado of the new Continuum Mission feature, I'll probably be going for Varani for the Big Dip base. That can also be boosted with the Continuum equipment. The Orb of Prophecy and Change will make him an absolute monster in Continuum missions and most other game features. Anybody stocking up on other Polestars? We heard about Caregiver. Excellent choice there. Any other Polestars we're getting? I think Engineered covers quite a few. We've got a few different Bashirs showing up, so maybe that's going to be my choice for a stock up. Frank, any Polestars you're looking for?
Well, Trill will be used for quite a few of these from that Trill Mega that we're getting. And also, I'm going to preemptively stock up on Theoretical Engineer because that no good, very bad, evil Tobin O'Brien comes in with Theoretical Engineer and Engineering and Science, and he knocks Sylvia Tilly, the greatest 2-skill card in the whole game, out of 100% retrievable options. She is now a 50-50 with him.
Nice. Very good call. The Big Book podcast is winding down, approaching its end here. Thank you to all of our listeners who stayed with us for yet another long podcast update. We will continue to bring these to you so long as you're our listeners. Please let us know, shout out, respond to the YouTube video, join our Timelines Talks Discord, and let us know how we're doing, what you'd like to see and hear. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you next time.